Dele Alli was a wonder kid. He made his Premier League and England international debuts within months of each other, and at the age of just 19. Yet by his mid-20s, he was on loan in Turkish football, with his career dwindling. So, what happened? Dele was part of the MK Dons side that thrashed Manchester United 4-0 in the League Cup in the autumn of 2014. Already, however, the 18-year-old was on the radar of several Premier League sides, including Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur. And it was the latter who struck a deal in January 2015. Dele left his hometown club for London after an initial loan until the end of that season. When he arrived at Spurs properly, his ascent was remarkable. Maurizio Pochettino was into his second season at the club, and Dele became of value almost instantly. He scored his first Premier League goal against Leicester in August, had debuted in the Europa League by September, and made his first appearance for England in October. He scored on his first start for England too. At the end of the 2016-17 season, Dele would be voted the PFA's Young Player of the Season, and for a brilliant juggle and volley against Crystal Palace, he also won the Premier League's Goal of the Season. So for several years, Dele did deliver on his promise. In 2016-17, he was again voted Player of the Year, becoming the first player since Wayne Rooney to win consecutive awards. He was also part of the Premier League's Team of the Season for the second straight year. He and Tottenham were flying high. And at his pinnacle, Dele was an invaluable ingredient of Pochettino's attack, whose productivity came from excellent movement inside the box, an instinctive finishing ability, and most often, an uncanny understanding with Harry Kane. He scored good goals, but really important ones too, and against big opposition. But by 2018-19, there were clouds on the horizon. Dele had a spiky playing personality and had already suffered suspensions as a result. The season before, he would also suffer a minor hamstring injury, the first of 4 over the next 18 months. In fact, in a season that would end with him and Spurs reaching the Champions League final, he would, all in all, miss 23 games because of those 3 additional hamstring strains, a thigh strain and a broken hand. In the famous game against Ajax, at the end of which Dele provided the clever flick for Lucas Moura to complete his hat-trick, he can be seen wearing a cast to protect that hand. And Tottenham's downfall happened quickly thereafter. Pochettino was sacked by the club and replaced by Jose Mourinho at the end of 2019, and initially that change seemed of benefit to Dele. In Amazon's All or Nothing documentary, Mourinho can be seen presciently warning the player about how quickly life passes and encouraging him to make the most of his youth. For a while, that message appeared to resonate. Liberated as a more attacking player and freed of midfield responsibility, he enjoyed a purple patch of form and goals during the late winter of 2019 and early 2020. But it was a false dawn and a rare high point in his relationship with Mourinho. January 2020 would actually see him scoring his final goal from open play for Tottenham in the Premier League, some 2 years before he left. So, what went wrong? Well, injuries we've covered, and Tottenham's failure to adequately invest in a team that had finished 3rd in Dele's first year at the club and 2nd in his second was also complicit. Famously, they became the first Premier League team to fail to sign a player during a transfer window during the summer of 2018, repeating the trick in the winter of 2019. And the consequence was a team that got steadily worse, in spite of that Champions League final, and players, Dele included, who were sometimes used in unfavourable positions out of necessity. Whatever the case, the culture of improvement within the squad that had been so key to Pochettino's success clearly waned. Players who had complemented Dele's style also left. Christian Eriksen's passing ability was a multiplier for him. So too was the pitch-stretching fullback play of Kyle Walker and Danny Rose, and the delivery of Kieran Trippier. Walker and Trippier were both sold. Rose grew disillusioned. Moussa Dembele also departed. So it's easy to depict Dele as a bellwether of sorts. But according to The Athletic's Jack Pitt-Brooke, the player holds responsibility for his decline too. He noted a theory that Dele grew distracted by his off-field interests, and that was particularly damaging given that his game was ultimately all about hunger, about his willingness to keep taking risks, to get on the end of things and make those late runs into the box. Pitt-Brooke also observed that he's largely stopped making those runs, and with that, he's lost what made him such a dangerous player. He's never been a midfielder who runs the game by dictating possession. It's a valid point, Even at his best, Dele would often be relatively peripheral in games, only to punctuate them with a telling moment. When those fireworks were gone, a player who was, in 2018, ranked as the most valuable midfielder in the world by the CIES Football Observatory barely resembled who he'd once been. And as if to make that point, when Dele finally did leave Tottenham, it was on a free transfer to Everton in 2022, with only performance-related fees due. Within the space of 8 months and after fewer than 20 appearances, he was then loaned to Turkish Superliga side Besiktas. It's been a career's worth of ups and downs, and yet Dele was still just 26 years old in March 2023. Did he become demotivated at Tottenham? Was he damaged by repeated injuries? Was he a victim of the club's general decline, and did he miss his perfect departure point? Or were those factors complicit, and were they exacerbated by declining enthusiasm for the sport? The truth is elusive, and might not be revealed for many years to come, if ever. For now, Dele remains a great riddle of English football. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.